Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy Road Dogg here with none other than the holiday man himself, King Karl Bryan. How are you?
Yo, Road Dogg, my man. How you doing there, bud?
Well, I'm doing better than your playoff picks in the Stanley Cup.
Don't poke fun at me. And anybody listening, my team is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I would be up there with the most passionate fans known to man for that team. Unfortunately, they're a little bit like cheering for I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins, because they're equally horrible, and that's also my favorite NFL team. So there you go. So in other words, don't start a franchise and have me cheer for it. Might be some advice we could give to everybody. But yeah, so the Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't know. And I put up there with the Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys. You kind of love them or you hate them. And they lost last night, and I predicted a big win. So it's game one of the 2020 playoffs. So that's when we're doing this bad boy. But anyway, so by the time you hear this, it's a good chance that they've possibly even raised the cup, or they've sailed out of the first round and smoked the Columbus Blue Jackets. So there you go, Road Dogg. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So there you go.
They'll be seeing my Canucks on the golf course in less than a week's time, but don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right into this, because I know that we're all a little pressed for time today. So we're going to get right to the good stuff, everybody. So lucky you, less banter, more serious results. First question that came across: if you were recommending to a coaching client, would you suggest they start a business, like if they would buy a franchise from scratch, or would you recommend they buy it of one that's already operating?
Okay. So the question is, would they buy a business, buy a franchise, or start a company? Is that right, Road Dogg?
Yeah, and again, if you're buying a franchise or buying a business, would you want it to be like brand new, or would you want one that is already up and operating?
Okay, gotcha. Actually, like the question. Not a black and white answer. So let me give you a metaphor, okay? So that this would be the same as, okay, you are going to move your family, and like, should you buy a plot of land and build a house? Should you buy a brand new house, or should you go into an established neighborhood and then buy one that's, 10, 15, 20, maybe 30 years old? And the answer is, once again, it's not black and white. It's, you need to do a little bit of a needs assessment. But that being said, maybe let's just run through the options here. So look, starting a business from scratch, no doubt it's got the obvious challenges where you're starting with a fresh phone number and a fresh website. You're an airplane on the ground, and the hardest thing to do with an airplane is to get it up in the air. And once you've got it there, maintaining it's pretty darn easy, but getting it up can be challenging. So starting a business, comes with those challenges, and the bumps on the road. You're going to have a heavy level of energy and a heavy level of enthusiasm and passion for that bad boy to get the airplane up. Franchises are good. That's kind of my background, licensing and franchising, so know well and truly that. Here's what you'd find. A franchise is great, especially if somebody's green to business to get started. Here's where you'll run into problems if you're recommending this to somebody, is that a franchise is great for, let's say, 18 months, a year and a half. And then at that stage, you get your mojo, you get comfortable, you understand your market, you understand your clients, you understand their needs, their problems, you want to solve them. You go to the franchisor, and if you understand franchising, it's basically, I want you to picture you're walking down a hallway and there's a left and a right wall. There's things that you can and cannot do, right? So, like market in a certain way. You can't just, any ad that you'd want to run in a professionally, properly run franchise, you've got to get head office to approve it. And if you know anything about franchising, you know that more often than not, they'll refuse it. So I'll give you, just imagine how frustrating that could become for somebody really passionate and, good at operating their business. Another challenge that you'll run into is that at the 18-month mark, let's just say, your royalties and your monthly fees are like, let's just call it $2,000 a month. It could be significant. It could be less, probably not much less, significantly more. Let's just go $2,000 a month. Well, imagine like at some stage you get a little bit frustrated because it's that old, what have you done for me lately? So, in other words, you want to break it. And it's like, look, this franchise is no longer servicing me. I've got my, it's called a painting company, a moving company, a lawn mowing company. You've got your mojo. And what do you want to do? You just want to go and do this out on your own, right? Your own brand, your own trucks, your own staff. Well, the problem is if you sign a franchise document, I would be amazed if there's not at least a 2-year, what's called the non-compete, which basically means that I can't operate a lawn mowing business for 2 years post termination. So, and that's, no doubt for obvious reasons. As you hear that, it's like, well, it's part of the pain of disconnect. So that you could imagine the franchise could become a little bit challenging, but for the first 18 months, super handy to help you get going, and the network can be handy. Buying a business, again, this would be, if I were to recommend one, I feel like, again, I would need more information, much like the house metaphor. But buying a business would be up there with something a bit, because the airplane is already at 10,000 feet. Now you just need to maintain it, presumably, and hopefully you've done your homework. We've covered this on another episode of Business Coaching Secrets, where I kind of walk through my rules of buying a business. But bottom line, you want to do your homework. You got to make sure you don't buy a lemon. And really what you're buying to a large degree, the most important assets, or actually, no, I'm going to rephrase that. The most undervalued assets in a company are the prospects and the current client list. And that's one that you really want to have a good hard look at, like those intrinsic, there's a lot of intrinsic kind of magic there that goes with those relationships, like how well have they been serviced? How loyal are they to you? When you take over and put your name on it versus the old owner's name, are they gonna flee? Like how strong was that relationship and bond, and how important was that, the intrinsic nature of that relationship? So you got to do your homework on that one. So buying a business, but you're going to need capital, right? Like how much are you going to buy the business for? 100 grand, 250, 500,000, $1 million plus. You're going to have some capital to get going. So again, that can lead, that could lead to some headaches. So anyway, so Road Dog, I wanted to answer the question. The answer is I would need more information. My answer is that just do your darn homework. But buying a business would be where I would be putting that at the top of the three, all things being equal, but there's never going to be all things equal. Here's a better question. Should I go product or should I go service, right? So what's the franchise? What's the business? What's the business you're going to start? Are they selling a service or are they selling a product? Right? Actually, I'll give you an example. A buddy of mine, so I call him Dingo, Aussie guy. I call him Dingo, and he has a business, like he's a really good remodeler, right? Like he'll go in, he'll build a house from scratch. He'll come into your existing house and, blow your mind in terms of the, contemporary awesome nature, the awesome way that he will go and rebuild your house. But the challenge that he's got is that he's service on steroids, right? Like he shows up, his team shows up, or he's not making any money. So what I said to him is I said, if I was your gig, I would absolutely go into the business of prefab. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, okay, so I would build, like, in fact, Road Dog, you and I had a conversation. We might have actually done it on the podcast. I can't remember. But remember, we talked about the beginning of this COVID thing, whatever it was, 6 months ago. I'm like, backyard offices are absolutely going to take off, right? Well, then my advice when I gave him this advice, it was a little bit before this, but basically my advice to him would be build 3 units, right? So 3 backyard offices, okay? And we're going to call it, silver, gold, and platinum, okay? And, priced accordingly, like 10, 15, 20 grand or 20, 30, 40 grand. It doesn't matter. You're just going to have, 3 price points, and you're going to have entry level, you're going to have mid, and then you're going to have high, and all products should pretty much have, beginner, middle, and top, always. So basically he should build, so prefab, what am I saying? What I said to him is go into the business of product, right? Build these units, these home offices that can be picked up and dropped in anybody's backyard now that so many more people are going to be working from home in the future, and basically move these things like crazy. So basically that's an example of a business that I would go in. But you see, what I'm really trying to bring across is this is product versus service, right? Absolutely huge. So I think that's a I don't know, a better question, but this is definitely one. I would like to know the nature. Like somebody comes to me and says, look, should I buy a franchise? Should I get this thing started from scratch? Or should I buy an existing business operating? It would be like, well, tell me what the unit is first, and then let's go from there. And again, so you're going to buy a business. Remember, it's absolutely critical. There's some steps that I would follow before I would buy a business, but let me just give you the 2 that are absolutely paramount. I need a good jockey, and that probably shouldn't be you. In some cases it is, and it's going to have to be, and that's okay. But in a perfect world, that's not. So I need a good jockey, a good, management team in place before I buy a business, or frankly, before I even start one. And then also you got to have a moat. You've got to have really difficult cost of entry, right? So if somebody wants to come and compete with you, you need to make it needs to be challenging, right? So that's what I'd say. That's absolutely critical. So there you go, Road Dog. That would be my answer to that, buddy.
All right. So here's an interesting one. I actually really appreciate this question. Do you agree with the statement that Karl Bryan is always right?
What? Are you serious?
No, I'm actually not serious, but I just wanted to throw that in there.
What?
I know that speaking with Tammy, she's like, that is 100% not correct.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
The question actually is, do you agree with the customer?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so is the customer always right? I know that's the old adage, and I'd be very, very careful with that one. It would be closer to this, that your staff is always right. But clearly there's a balance. I'll just tell you this. What's right is what's right, always. I don't care if it's your staff, your client, or who it is. What's right is right. Let me give you an example that I would give there. Let's say that you've got a female staff member, and she's dealing with a client, and he is dealing with her in a manner that you would not approve of. Okay, well, you need to, if the customer is not right, the end, right? And by the way, it could go in the opposite direction. Okay, so now it's your staff member maybe, and it's, maybe it's it doesn't matter, male, female, all that stuff. We can get into that conversation, but basically your staff member was acting, quote unquote, inappropriately. And by the way, let's make sure that we do our homework and don't just take anything at face value. But let's assume that it is, proven to be correct. That somebody acted. So it's just what's right is right. That's it. It's your staff member, it's your client, but I definitely would be cautious. The customer is always right. Is just your staff deal with the client. So you really want to take your client or your staff and put them up on a pedestal. The greatest successes are always going to come through other people. So you want to make those close to you, highly, highly valued. And just, I've said this on multiple different podcasts, but like your greatest successes come through other people. And what I have said is, like, if you introduce me to a $25 million company, I'll introduce you to a recruitment company. So I would encourage you to be thinking that you're a recruitment company. You're recruiting clients. You're recruiting venues, right? Like Road Dog, you and I did an event. We go straight to the yacht club, right? Like what is the coolest place in town? Which one has the most intrinsic value? Which one's got that, that appeal automatically without, anything other than just saying the name? And for you and I, it was the yacht club, and that's exactly where we went. So we're recruiting venues, but more to the point, we're recruiting people. You're recruiting staff, and you're recruiting clients, but really importantly, you're creating a team around you take it very, very seriously. And so those people need to both be looked after and importantly felt looked after. Remember, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And people support things that they create again. So not only caring about folks or giving them lip service, but like genuinely going to your staff and saying, look, how could we go about improving X, Y, Z? Like, go to the marketing department, ask how you can improve the product, and go to the product development team and ask how you can improve the marketing, right? And then actually do something, by the way. Don't just pay them lip service, but actually go and then remind them that, look, the reason we, made X, Y, Z improvement is thanks to you, So that's what I would say. And I just, like in my own world, to say, like my business partner and I, we've been together. In fact, we just had our 11-year anniversary. My CTO, he's been with me one-to-one for 13 years. Big Al, he's worked with us. I don't know exactly these numbers, right? 8 years. I know Craig, I do know, and Adrian, I do know, my business partner, my CTO, but the others, like Big Al's been with me, I believe, 8 years. Chris Kling has been with us for 7. My bookkeeper, Danny, she's been with me for 7.5, 8. Jericho's been building our websites and whatnot for, again, well over 5. It's 5 years all day long, probably more. Anyway, so just, okay, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. What I am saying is that, your greatest successes will come through other people. You got to recruit really, really well and take, looking after these people very, very seriously. So that's what I'd say to that one, man. It's not a, your customer is always right. That's the old adage. And then and then you got to be careful with where you say this, right? Like, let's say that you're in front of your clients and you're, no, the customer's not always right. My staff is always right. Like that. No, what's right is what's right. And I think that's a better, as far as an adage and something that you're going to follow and a value for your company. I think you get further with that. And also, Road Dog, we're dealing with smaller companies as a rule. So that's, well and truly should be factored in. So there you go, bud.
Okay, so we always talk about reading. We always talk about knowledge and gaining more knowledge. So a question came across, and I'm going to edit it just the way, because that's what I do. So I'm just curious, other than your subscription to Cat Fancy magazine, can you share with us like a list of books that have shaped the way that you think? Obviously your cat's a huge fan, right? Always on the podcasts, jumping on the keyboard and stuff. So, but other than that, like what other books would you say have shaped the way that you think, and what are ones that you would recommend?
Ooh, books that have shaped. Okay, I would have to break that into a couple categories. Top of my head, like I'd go personal development and business. I think would kind of make sense. It's very, just I think you should compartmentalize that in your own mind. Like, where are you growing, and then where are you growing your business? They'll all converge and come together. But so look, personal development / life coaching kind of, life coaching kind of books would be this. Look, Tony, everybody knows we both love Tony Robbins. I most certainly do. Man's Search for Meaning is up there with, I believe that's the number one book that's impacted him, is what he'll tell you. And I wouldn't have a list without including that. So Man's Search for Meaning is very good. Think and Grow Rich. In fact, while I'm just away on holidays, I literally read Think and Grow Rich as I'm here. Took, pages and pages of notes. So Think and Grow Rich, I think you can't get enough. Remember, it's not like it's Think and Grow Rich. When was the last time? I've often talked about taking TTT, time to think, which I don't think many people do. It's Think and Grow Rich, right? Not do and grow rich, not anything else. It's think, sit back, relax, put a question down on a piece of paper and think your little backside off. I think that's a powerful thing to do. So Think and Grow Rich. Awaken the Giant Within would be up there. Speaking of Tony Robbins, if you guys ever heard of Date with Destiny, that's, Tony Robbins's, big personal development event. Like if you go to UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within, which is basically a 3-day, pump up kind of rock concert / personal development seminar. The whole idea of that seminar is to lead you to the 7-day, which is called Date with Destiny. Well, if you wanted to do Date with Destiny solo on your own, I'll just read Awaken the Giant, and it's literally that book laid out for you. So Awaken the Giant Within, I would be up there. How to Win Friends and Influence People is the first book. I still remember the day when I read that book. I was just a young guy, still going to college. And I honestly, I wasn't a big reader at all at that stage, like not even close. And I started reading the book and I literally read it cover to cover. And I stayed up, I don't know, until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, just reading that bad boy. And it was awesome. So that book's had a lasting and impressive, impression on me. Okay. So those personal development, and again, I'm probably leaving some out, but that should get somebody going who's asking. If you read those, you'd be doing real well. Okay. So then I go business. And then 0 to 1 is up there with the greatest business books I've ever read. That's Peter Thiel. Couldn't recommend that high enough. In fact, it's a personal philosophy of mine, is just like creation. But 0 to 1, Peter Thiel, absolutely awesome. Blue Ocean Strategy. I believe we've talked about that in the past on this Road Dog, just unbelievable. If you're thinking business strategy and how to go about building, a multi-million-dollar business, $100 million company, Blue Ocean Strategy would be up there. It's a great idea. Look, not a book, but look, letters to shareholders of companies that you respect is something that I'd be thinking about. Like me personally, Amazon all day long and twice on Sunday, Google, Alphabet, whatever you want to call them. Whether they're, evil or this, that, and the other, it's irrelevant. At the end of the day, you don't build $100 billion companies by accident. So following these would be a very good idea. Berkshire Hathaway, again, Letters to Shareholder by Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, just absolutely unbelievable. So again, not books, but I would say that you get more out of reading those than many other things that you could do. I couldn't create that list. Business. So let's go marketing. I'm going to put one book in the marketing category, and that's going to be Ultimate Marketing Plan by Dan Kennedy. Just awesome. The end. Ultimate Marketing Plan. And then I would go, so I can't have that list without saying Money Master the Game. I'm kind of getting a little bit Tony Robbins obsessed here, but anyway, so Money Master the Game. The magic of that book is it's a book on wealth. If you want to be wealthy, I believe that Money Master the Game is a must read for every family in North America. The end. And then if you were to say, okay, why? Like, give me a synopsis of it, Carl. What does it mean? Just wealth is psychology. The end. Okay. So if you want to be wealthy, you want to build a business that, generates wealth for you and your family and those around you and your community and your city and your state and your country, etc. Psychology is going to be what needs to happen. Like you become a millionaire in your head long before it's going to happen. You got a business coaching company and you want to hit 7 figures. And again, I hear this on it feels like a daily basis. Somebody wants to build a 7-figure coaching business. But the reality is by asking them some very simple questions, I know that they haven't done the homework to legitimately do $1 million with a coaching business. Remember, $1 million. Like I've said this, and again, I'll say it again, and I'll say it for the next 100 years. You say to me, you want to make $1 million a year. You want to build $1 million business. I play stupid, and I go, so what is that per month again? I can't, and I want to see if you tell me. And if you don't say $83,333.33 a month, then you haven't reversed engineered the number. So that means that there's some other fundamental work that you just haven't done, and you're not going to get there. That's not to say that you won't get there. It's just that you're not ready, right? So if you haven't taken the time to reverse engineer the numbers, you haven't taken the time to reverse engineer, the leads, the conversion, the fulfillment, what that's all going to look like, how many staff, how many coaches, how many XYZ you're going to have in your company in order to get there. So just psychology. So that's I think that's the last one I'm going to say, but yeah, Money Master the Game. So there you go. I'm sure there's probably a bunch I'm leaving out, and apologies to anybody. The Black Swan would be up there as well. Actually, hang on, one more. The Outsiders, absolute ripping book. If you were to ask me to, okay, what's it about? Why do you recommend The Outsiders? What's the deal? If you look at the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, you're going to see that they're people that you've never heard of 90% of the time, or 95% of the time, outside of Warren Buffett. Actually, no, because then Bezos. But basically what you're looking for, super successful companies are run by mathematician, analytical, I'm going to call them nerds with thick glasses. They don't do interviews. They don't do, they're not standing in front of microphones. They're not standing in front of TV cameras and, celebrities. They are folks that they are detail orientated on steroids. They watch their numbers, and you guys read my emails, you know that I always, whenever I say math, you'll see that it's always capitalized, right? And it's good reason, because successful business is just math. So anyway, so the outsiders, when you read that, I think that's what you're going to find, is that the business, the guys who you've heard of and you assume are the greatest, like Jack Welch is an example straight from the book. And everybody thinks that he's like one of the greatest CEOs of all time. And it's not true. If you go by the numbers, if you think the numbers matter, then Jack Welch is not your guy. Very good CEO. And if you don't know who that is, he led GE for a long time through some great years. But the reality is the numbers on the board are not that good. But what he was a celebrity, and he was writing books, and he was doing interviews, and again, microphone, TV cameras everywhere. So that's kind of the misconception, right? So I'd always be careful, you know, that celebrity. If somebody is a celebrity, that's a really good chance that they have spent, you've only got time and focus. They've been taking their time and their focus and putting it towards things that aren't growing their business. And I don't think that lends itself well to building a business. So that's the same. Again, I get asked to give interviews all the time, and my stock answer is no. And that's not to say that I always say no, but I usually say no. It's not that I say no. It's just that I don't have time to get interviewed, and I'm not looking for, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? None of that doesn't serve me in any way, shape, or form. No, it doesn't serve my company in any way, as far as I can see. So this is what I spend my time on, and I'm training myself, because I'm not a detailed guy. I'm not analytical at all, but I'm training myself as best I possibly can. I can tell you I've improved markedly over the last few years on becoming detail orientated and significantly more analytical, and, you know, looking at math versus celebrity type numbers. So Road Dog, I hope I did a good job there for whoever asked, but that's a list, and I like the question, because that probably means you're listening. You know what I mean? You're wanting to know, so that you'll go and basically put this stuff into action. So there you go, bud. There you go, man.
Love it. Outsiders, fantastic. Pony Boy's the best, though. Hey, like
Pony, you know it. I swear to God, Road Dog, you'll laugh at this. I try, like, on the list of names for my daughter, Soda Pop. No joke. My wife is like, that is not happening. And I'm like, come on. She's like, oh, dear. And that was the end of the conversation pretty quickly. And I had a dog named Soda Pop. So there you go. So
there you go.
Soda Pop's my boy.
So one of your first was how to win friends and influence people. Still obviously a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a ripper, man. It's a ripper, that one, bud.
How to make friends is still a work in progress for you. That's cool. I got to say, one of my first personal development books was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. That was.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Robin Sharma, buddy. Okay, well, I'll tell you this. Have you read the Monk, the CEO, and the Surfer, I believe it's called?
It's like the Surfer, the CEO, and the whatever. Yeah, I did read that one.
Yeah. That one, I'm screwing it up. That's a great book, man. That is a great book for sure. Yeah. And The Monk That Sold His Ferrari, I've read both of those. And in fact, at one stage, I actually bought The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO. That's it. I bought that book for everybody in my company at one stage for Christmas, and I sent them all out because I loved the book that much. It was very impactful for me. I loved it. Yeah. Is that yours? So what would be yours, Road Dog? The Monk That Sold His Ferrari?
There's so many, but that was my first one that really opened the door. And then, of course, I got really into the Tony Robbins stuff. And I don't know, man, like I can't really say that there's that many that are my favorites, just because I'm, you know, like there's so many, like The Way of the Superior Man, right? Like the whole Four Agreements thing and things like that. Like there's so many good books out there. How can you possibly just bring it down to a couple here or there, right? But
yeah,
I can check Ultimate Sales Machine, like that's one hell of a book too.
Yeah, I've read it multiple times.
Big fan.
Yeah, I love it.
So, but anyways, so we talk about reading, right? And again, it is really well documented. And you just had your list, but when we talk about the most successful people reading all the time, like your thoughts are pretty clear. Like we should all be doing this, yeah.
With it could be potentially, it's a game changer. It's absolutely been a game changer for me and anybody who adopts it. But see, the problem is everybody, they get into reading and they'll do it for let's call it 3 months. And then remember, instant gratification, right, is our worst enemy. All of a sudden it's like, I didn't get anywhere. It didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, this is we always say success has got to be measured in decades, most definitely years at a minimum, but like decades. So you've got to undertake this for a long time in order to feel that massive pull. So, but definitely, man, it's an absolute must. It is a game changer for me, you, everybody, I think.
Cool. All right. Next question. Oh, this one's very good, just in terms of relevancy, in terms of where we are right now. Given the state of the world, can a business coach get started and really make a good living?
Given the state, okay, the answer is yes, but the way the word is read the question, just the first half of the question again for me.
Given the state of the world.
Yeah, see, this person's psychology is not as good as it could be. Okay, I'm a little being generous. I'm being kind there. Okay, this is asked, and the person who's written this doesn't think so. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can read it. The answer is absolutely no bloody question. Look, there's 3 steps to growing a successful business coaching company. Write them down. Number 1, leads. Okay, lead generation. You need a system to bring in consistent leads. And notice the word consistent, because what most people do is they generate leads, get clients, stop, lose the client, generate leads, and then coach the client, but stop the lead gen. And then they get surprised in 1, 2, 3 years time that they're riding this roller coaster up and down, and it's taxing, right? So 3 baskets. Step number 1 is lead generation. Okay. Step number 2 is conversion. Okay. So that's, you get in front of somebody. Can you turn them into a coaching client, and get them to sign the paperwork, hand over the check, sign the paperwork, hand over their credit card number? Can you do that? That's step number 2. And do you have a process for doing it? That's the reason why we built software, profit acceleration software, for that exact reason. And then the third one, and quite frankly, the killer, because most people think lead generation is the killer, but with 100% certainty, for the person that's trying to do multiple 6 figures and to really crush it, fulfillment will always be your nightmare. Well, no, it's not not nightmare, chokehold, because that takes all the time. When you start coaching people at an hour a week, it becomes, we got 15 clients and you're servicing 15 clients. Your ability to go and generate leads and convert new clients and manage your company, and then upsell your existing clients, etc., are, severely limited. So those 3: leads, conversions, and then fulfillment. So you've got to take the time. And by doing that, what I just helped you do, or if you've never heard that before, is chunk. Okay. So you break everything down and make it nice and simple and just concentrate on lead generation and lead generation only. And now you get in front of folks and you think about conversion only, and then you think about fulfillment. And one other thing, super important, as I say leads and conversion, I want you to think of 2 words. Number 1 is curiosity. So the way that I generate leads is I make them curious. You've all heard me say this. I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra $1 on marketing or advertising. I do not care who I deliver that elevator pitch in front of: Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, Mark Cuban, you name it. Okay, they are going to lift their eyebrows and go, wow, how do you do that? Right? Well, I just achieved curiosity. Okay, now I get in front of them, I get them on the phone, I get into their office, I get belly to belly. I walk them through, quote unquote, my process, which you need a process. And again, that's why I created software to basically convert the clients for you. But now you need, the second step is certainty. So again, I got a 10, you've got a 5. I say, do you want to make a swap? You look, you go, is he full of crap? You look for social proof. And then once you establish that I'm for real and that I'm actually going to make this exchange, you ask me if I'll do it. You do it immediately, and then ask me if I'll do it a second time. Right? So as I'm sitting with the coaching client, step number 2 of conversion, you just have to convince me, if you're $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, you've got to make me ultra certain that I am going to make $48,000 as a result of this relationship. Okay. And that's, again, we built software to be able to find the $100,000. Because if you're sitting with someone and you find them $100,000 in 45 minutes, believe me, they don't want you to leave, the phone call or the room without buying something from you, right? Like it's a 101. But anyway, so you've got to break that down. What did I just go over? These are the fundamentals. You've got to get the fundamentals down And it's no different in sport. A guy could be making $20 million a year to hit a baseball out of the park or to hit singles. And when he falls into a slump or she falls into a slump, what do? They come and they talk to him about keeping their eyes on the ball, keeping their elbow open, bending their knees, low center of gravity. And when somebody drops a fly ball, it comes back to the basics. If you're 5 years old, 15 years old, or making $20 million a year, it's always the same. In fact, this podcast would be similar. The stuff that we go over, Road Dog, like the answers are very, seldom the ninja magic tricks. It comes back to the basics, but this for a reason, because that's what you got to do. Again, my business, it's, successful. It's in 24 countries. I mean, we just do the fundamentals well. At least I think we do. Everybody who works with us can decide that. But also, if you go to other companies and whatnot and you see them growing, when you reverse engineer it and you go in and have a look and lift up the numbers of lift up the sheets a little bit, you're going to see that, basically what they're doing is they're just following the fundamentals better than others. Remember, if you want to build a super successful coaching business, you need 20 clients at $2,000 a month. That's $480,000 a year. 20 clients, $2,000 a month, $480,000 a year. And then if you half that, you're at 240. And if you half it again, you're at six figures at 120,000. And yes, lots of businesses are locked down and they can't, but 70% of business is operating, as normal or very close to, with, of course, social distancing and hand sanitizer and that sort of stuff. But, fundamentally speaking, and what's happened is they are disrupted at a super high level right now. Because thinking, holy smokes, this is insanity. An extra set of eyes on their business is like the easiest thing in the world to sell right now. So, could you? And the answer is absolutely. And then, okay, so even this plays into Road Dog, the question you asked earlier, like, would I start? Would I buy a franchise? What you got to do is you got to get in the freaking game, right? Like, you've got to have the live events. Okay, actually, let me give you a metaphor. I'm out there surfing, okay? I'm the worst surfer in the world, but I can, manage to stand up on a surfboard and do my thing and make it to shore. So very impressive. But I can tell you this, the best surfer in the world without a wave, Kelly Slater, is like laying in the ocean on a surfboard, right? The worst surfer in the world with a really good wave can stand up on the board and basically the wave will make them look semi-okay, right? So me with a good wave, I can look like I can surf. Me with a bad wave, it's not happening. I'm back laying on my board waiting for the next one, right? So how does that metaphor play into this? In business, you've got to ride the wave. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen for business coaches over the next 1, 3, 5 years with 100% certainty, okay? And by the way, I could be wrong, and I'm happy to, and measure this in 3 years' time, come back and let me know whether or not I'm right. But the same way, Road Dog, I said earlier, and I said this to you at the beginning of the pandemic, home offices in the backyards are going to go nuts. And you and I have exchanged, 15 different links to different websites talking about exactly that, right? How backyard offices are going nuts and people are buying them like crazy, right? Surprise? No. So this will be the same. Businesses are getting started up like never before during this pandemic for a variety of different reasons. Well, in order to go surfing, you need one thing. You got to be in the water. You got to be in the game. So as a business coach, don't plan to get started when everybody comes back to normal and, that life, hand sanitizer goes away and social distancing is a thing of the past. You got to get in the game now. You got to promote yourself now. You got to be helping people now, and you will be rewarded immeasurably for many years to come if you're the business coach out there right now, servicing people at a very, very high level with like 100% certainty. But metaphor, you've got to get yourself into the water, right? Like you've got to. So that would be, that's what I'd say, buddy. You want to get a coaching business going. Could you do it now? Just stop thinking about the 30%, the negatively geared stuff. Think about the 70% that are growing. Think about the different categories of businesses that are crushing it right now. And there are plenty of them, right? Just think convenience and delivery. Convenience and delivery. I've been talking about that. Again, you go back years ago, I could show you interviews where I put those two words in front of people. These things are coming at a ridiculous level. So, Success, Road Dog, is it's the same movie 3 times a day, 7 days a week for a decade, right? Everybody, there's the Tony Robbins certainty and uncertainty. Everybody's seeking uncertainty, right? Where in actuality, certainty, like just, the same stuff over and over and over, like people say they love surprises, but the truth is, they love surprises that they want, right? The surprises they don't want, they call problems, right? So no, it's the same crap over and over again, and you just got to buy into the fact that that's what it looks like. And a lot don't have the staying power. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to see it through. So yeah, just, if you're the business coach that goes in and out of the industry, you are going to make up, a poor, like you're just not going to be the one that's going to succeed. You got to get into the water, stay in the water, and you got to ride those waves, and you got to, you might need to take 3 to catch the 4th that absolutely, that wave that you talk about for the next 5 years. I've never hit that one, by the way, because I'm not that good of a surfer, to be clear, but one day, Road Dog. So that's what I'd say, bud. Can somebody get started and crush it right now? Again, it scares me, the wording of the question. Problem solution. Remember, don't look for mistake people make. Is there spidey senses for looking for ideas? Karl, will this idea work? Should I start? Is this a good idea? Idea. Change your line of thinking, looking for problems, and then offer solutions. You have never seen as many problems as there are right now in the world during this pandemic. There's nothing but problems. Well, provide them solutions, and you're going to have yourself a crushing business. So there you go, Road Dog. That's my answer, brother.
Hey, Matt, you mentioned it's the same movie over and over again. And while we talked about books, I just want to circle back for a sec. What are some of your favorite? I pretty much am pretty clear that you're going to talk about in a second. But what your favorite movies about business?
My favorite movies about business. So, Wall Street's been one of my favorites forever. Absolutely love it. But old school.
Hang on. Do you consider yourself the Gordon Gecko, or do you consider yourself the Bud Fox?
Charlie Bud Fox all the way, man. I love him. Charlie Sheen, although he's gone completely nuts, the poor bastard. But yeah, Charlie Sheen. Well, I tell you something I want me to ruin a lot of people's favorite movies. Your favorite movie is your favorite movie because you see a piece of yourself in the leading character. The end, 100%. And then, by the way, on the same token, picture your favorite athlete. Like, say you're a basketball guy, your favorite basketball player. You're a hockey guy, your favorite hockey player. You're a baseball player, your favorite baseball player. Once again, they're your favorite because you see a piece of you in them. So
that makes a lot of sense. That's why I like Boogie Nights.
Mark Wahlberg, baby. I can see you on roller skates. There you go, man. Well done. Okay, so Wall Street way back, and then I'd also look to Social Network. I love it. The story of Facebook. Like I said, Facebook. I spend some time on Facebook, and it teaches me an enormous amount because I follow very inspirational people. That's part of what I do on Facebook. So I learn a lot as I scroll. But the movie itself, I think, was fabulous. And then Founder. I have seen the movie Founder at least 50 times. It's kind of my go-to. If I need to get to sleep and it's late, 3:00 in the morning, and I got to flick on the TV, I go straight to Founder because first it puts me to sleep for some strange reason. But I just love the movie, and I've seen it over and over again, and a lot of business lessons out of it. So I love it. So, and in fact, the other thing, so what about less? Well, okay, so let me throw it back to you, bud. There's my answer, man. There's my answer.
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously, we can't just name the movies and then not extract the learning from that, right? So I know that you've watched Founder 1,000,005 times. So let's use that maybe as the example, or any of them. Like, what would you say you've learned from those, and even from like Wall Street, right? Like Gordon Gecko, as much of a douchebag as he was, there was some cool stuff there.
Oh yeah, look. From that movie, there's one line, information is power, stuck with me for a very, very long time. Like I run a presentation from years, like decade and a half ago, but basically, how to build a successful business. And step number 1 was research for the exact reason of information is power. People start businesses without doing the homework locally on what is and is not working and what have and has not, worked in the past. Crazy. So Wall Street, I'd say information is power. Social Network. Look, there's some inflection points in that movie. Like, okay, so when they named, remember it was the Facebook, right? And then Sean Parker stood up from the table and he said, Facebook, it's cleaner, right? So they changed it like that. That actually happened, right? I don't know that happened, but what happened is that they went from the Facebook to Facebook, and it was on Sean Parker's watch, right? You'll see in the movie when they started to tag friends. So like Road Dogg, you and I are, you and I are in a photo, and then I'm like, oh, that's a beauty. Road Dogg looks awesome. And then I tag you, and now it's, like you go to Facebook and you can see that you were tagged, significantly increased engagement and userability. So tagging friends, and then relationship status. If you've watched the movie, he all of a sudden had this aha moment. He comes, he's falling asleep in class or something. He wakes up and he goes running out of the class down the stairs to his computer. And then he changed that, and then boom, the website went live. So there's little moments like that, that they're like the movie is obviously more fiction, but there's some absolute, real points in time that they captured in that movie, and any good movie that captures it. Like, Founder, if you wanted to learn from Founder, again, understand, like, franchising and licensing is something I have a passion for and a lot of experience with. And like an inflection point for McDonald's, he was going to, you might remember, he was going to the flashy meals and hanging out at the flashy venues with his wife, trying to keep up with the Joneses. And then he realized, and it started with the Bible salesman, where basically he came in, and then he realized, after watching them operate, he realized that his target audience, his ideal client, was a husband-wife team. So picture the wife out the front looking after everyone, and then dad in the back, basically looking after, the burgers and the house and that sort of stuff. So picture that dynamic. Had a huge impact on where McDonald's went. And then there was also the play, remember the guy chased him down the road and he said, Ray Kroc, I just listened to your conversation. And like, if you are struggling with money, I'm a huge fan of McDonald's. I go there and eat there all the time. If you're struggling for money, there's something dangerously wrong. Then he said, basically, let's go sit down. And he goes, the problem is you're in the wrong business. You really need to be in the business of real estate, and you're trying to sell burgers, making, 2% off a 25-cent hamburger. Never going to happen. So there's that. And it just look, I talk a lot about creation. I talked about Peter Thiel's book earlier, 0 to 1. If you look at the McDonald's model, they create everything. Like they invented the drive-through. The questions, do you want fries with that? Do you want me to supersize that? Do you want me to turn that into a meal? Do you want an apple pie with that? The drive-through, the Big Mac, the Happy Meal. I mean, they invented Ronald McDonald. They invented the McNugget. What else is that? Filet of fish, the double pounder, is it the double pounder? So basically when you can't go to McDonald's and order something and then go across the street and order the same thing from the local burger shop, because they don't have McNuggets. They don't have filet of fish. They don't have Big Mac. They don't have the secret sauce, etc. So that's what I say to that, man. They just, the business of creation is what they're in the business of. And I don't think enough people are doing that. They're playing, they just play copycat, follow the leader. Like, you built the mousetrap and then I'm going to build a better one and think that's the way I'm going to get there. Zero. And if you like what I'm talking about, creation, immediately go buy the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, because there's absolute pure and no question magic in that book. It could be a total game changer for somebody listening in terms of the way they think about business, in my opinion. You read it and let me know. That's what I say. So Road Dogg, I don't know if
that's
those
good, bud.
would be my favorite movies, I think. And I'm sure there's more of them. I think Boiler Room is up there. I like Boiler Room just because it's a boys, alpha male kind of movie. Everybody ripping around in fast cars and that sort of stuff. I think that's cool. But at the same time, there's a level of ethics and integrity, missing in that movie that doesn't feel right. But it's still, if you want to get amped up on Monday and really crack it and pick up the phone and crush it, Boiler Room might not be a bad weekend watch for a big sales week. So there you go, bud. There you go, man.
That's good, man. Like Wall Street, Social Network, Founder I liked. Social Network, I don't know, just a bunch of nerds. For me, I'm more of a gladiator, White House down, action, shoot 'em up, whatever kind of a guy. So, hey, listen, as we close out here, can you lead us out with singing the McDonald's song, or is that too
I'm gonna refer to you. You're a much better singer than I, Road Dogg. Come on, man. Go. Everybody's listening.
That is definitely not the case, as much as I am working on my Casey Kasem radio voice here. Okay, just real quick though, is there one thing that you can, get our listeners can kind of do today from today's podcast?
I'm going to go back to the question, can somebody, I want to make sure just managing psychology, somebody asking, can you crush it in business coaching right now? The answer is absolutely, but you got to be in the game. If your surfer is standing on the beach with a surfboard, he's not going to be a very good surfer. You've got to get into the game. If you were looking, let me give you a metaphor for that before we close out. Like Google, I don't know what they're worth nowadays, but it's 100 billion all day long and twice on Sunday. It's much more than that, right? Like whatever the number is, it's just so big when you really break it down. It's insane. Building $100 billion company is totally unnatural. Okay. How did they do it? They rode a wave. Okay. You didn't know what an online search was. Okay. A little bit, but not really. And they started the business at the right time. And now you probably do searches, throughout the day. Like you literally don't even look, you don't go to websites. You literally just go to Chrome and, put in the keywords and then just expect the website to come straight up. So basically what they did is they rode a wave, right? So again, thinking about that with your business coaching, you should absolutely, the wave is coming. More businesses are starting than ever before. There's more pain around business. There are more problems in and around business right now than ever before. What we do for a living as business coaches is basically solve them. So here's a better question. Is there ever a better time to crush it as a business coach? And of course it's debatable, right? Like it's not all just 101 here. But over the next 3 years, I don't think you could ever have a better time to crush it as a business coach. There are some short-term challenges with some of the clients that you probably already had. You might have lost a few clients because they literally, they can't pay their damn rent because they're shut down. But anyway, so understanding understanding the importance of the wave to the surfer is similar to your clients and for you with your business coaching to make sure that you're catching a wave and riding it into shore. So that's what I'd say, Road Dog. That's how I'd shut this one down, man.
Beauty. Again, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man on top of the hill, my boy, the non-surfer King Karl. And if you're not getting Karl's emails or you want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com. Focused with an ED. It doesn't, I don't know. I suck apparently at saying that. Focused.com and subscribe today. And also, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with an existing coach or someone that you think would make a great coach, someone that loves Tony Robbins, or a great salesperson, or just a highly motivated type. And of course, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify and the others give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. Well, that's it for another week. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Make it a great week, everybody.
Thanks, Road Dog. See you, folks.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.